Morning world. Blue skies. Gotta love blue skies. Blue skies energy. Which ironically has prompted me to do this video today. I had the questions of people want to say, yes, okay, I understand. Blue sky, shiny thing, glass type things, goes into batteries. Yeah. How does it work beyond that? However I set it up. So today's a little one. It's about the inner workings of how I have got it working sufficiently for my needs. And so yes, wandering with the dogs. Wherever I am, the dogs are always wandering with me. There's one, there's the other one. And yeah, so that's what that's one about. And we're gonna go from the shiny thing, which is just hiding slightly behind clouds at the moment, but it's producing energy for me. And oh, see that just there. There will be a video soon, I hope. Will be attempting, and I am going to be attempting to make my own charcoal in a very simple method that I have seen. So that's going to be an interesting one for all of us, me included. Whether I'm successful at that or not, time will only tell, and you will see whether I am or whether I'm not. That's one job that I've got to be doing soon. Before we go up here, the solar I have explained in previous videos. Basically, we've got solar coming in there, goes into a Victron MPPT controller down to 660 amps. That's 6 batteries of AGM. It goes into, I've got it wired up in a 24 volt array that goes through a 24 volt to 240 volt intelligent inverter. That then has a cable running from the caravan through to the container, of which it is fuse protected at that end. And when we go into the container, I don't know what you'll see in here because it'll be a bit dark, so forgive me if it doesn't come out. But that goes into, as explained, it comes in on, in actual fact, no, it just comes in on that one little power bank up there, of which there's a plug in there, and that diverts power also up to my hut. But from there I can run, well, I have nothing growing in there at the moment, but I can run sufficient power for the LED lights for growing the mushrooms. So quite simple, quite a bit of power as well. But I also account for, that door's a bit stiff. I also try to account for the fact that I need a little bit more power in the hut than what my hut system actually is, because I have a small 330 watt system on the roof of the hut that goes down through a Renogy 30 or 40 amp, I can't remember. I'll have a look when we go in there. MPPT controller to a 200 amp hour lithium battery, and you can see that panel just there. Saying that, you see that tree behind me there with that limb cut off. I cut that off the other day because I've got to get that tree and that tree out the way. But I've done it in 2 bits because of time and weather. But that one, it doesn't look like it from there so much. But that one is tending to lean this way. Unlike the previous video where I only needed to twist a tree slightly, this one is going to need a little bit of extra help, which involves me using a rope and things, which ideally one person is not sufficient. You could do with a second person, but I've got a little remedy of how I can possibly do it, and I'm hopefully going to be attempting that. And yes, I will do a video of that one, because that could be very interesting. Anyway, go back to the main topic, which is the solar. So the cable that runs from that system there through the container, and then it comes up to the hut, and I have the system on the roof of the hut. So what we then do, let me bring you in here a little bit closer. We go into the hut. It's going to get a bit dark. I'll put some lights on to try and help us with the lighting side of things here. And saying that, I need to change things over. Right, let's just try. No, we can't. So what we have is this power bank here, this line here, which that plugs in at the moment, and I am, because I'll just check my power, so bear with me on that one. I'm switching over to the bottom bank. This bank is the that comes up from the caravan. So I've now isolated this solar system, and I'm going to switch off this inverter, which you can see the little green light. So now what's coming in on this beautiful day is going to come in and charge my 200 amp hour lithium battery, because we run with the Renogy MPPT controller, which, just put my glasses on, I can see it's a 30 amp MPPT controller. At the moment there's 81% power in my battery. I have found with lithium batteries, yeah, they advertise, yeah, you can get to 80% within an hour. You can, it's very good. Getting from 80 to 100 takes quite a bit longer. So being that I'm getting more power at the moment from the larger 750 watt system, I'm putting all my power usage from that. So this one here on the hut can actually boost itself up and hopefully hit 100% before the sun goes down or the clouds come over. And then so from there I have LED lights, very low consumption. I've got 4 on a string of lights there. They were designed, packaged, sold to be used in the likes of motorhomes. That's how it's labelled in the advertising. It's just a simple, very simple, yeah, 12 volt LED string of lights. Anywhere I buy them, and there's the switch. So I can switch them on and off. That light is giving me sufficient light to work in the kitchen area when it's dark, so I don't burn myself and the likes. And then the other lighting that I have here in the hut is over here. That light, I will change it one day when I find something suitable, but that actually came out of the caravan, and it's one of those little fluorescent type lights. Draws quite a bit of power to get started, but once it's started, very little power. It's not the best light to have in the hut. I could do possibly a little more, but it is sufficient. I can see to read, I can see to do everything I want to do. So it works, and it's good enough for now. And then down here, here's another little LED light, which is a little bit, it looks brighter than this light. I'll show you. That's a bit more of a yellowy light, whereas that's a really white light. But the spread on the light is not as good as the top one. But that one means that I can switch a light on and off from sitting in bed, because obviously the switch being up there, I've got to get out of bed, fumble around in the dark, things like that. But I also do have, as the ultimate backup, I've always got a little torch just hanging off the bedpost. Alternate emergencies, having the backup for the backup, for a better choice of words. So on this system, that what I call the hut system, I have one set of LED lights there. I have an ex-caravan light above the mirror there, where you can see it, and the little LED light that I use for my bedside light, so that I can read a book if I'm in bed, or getting up there in the dark. It assists so that I see, I don't stumble, I don't fall, especially don't fall over the dogs and things like that. So my lighting consumption is actually very, very small, but it's sufficient. I mean, this is a 5 metre square hut. It doesn't need to be lit up like Blackpool illuminations. It just needs to be lit up sufficiently to be able to do what I wish to do. I am able to read a book. I'm able to watch YouTube on my internet, things like that. And when I'm cooking with these lights on, they're really quite bright when it's dark, is more than sufficient so that I'm not likely to hurt myself in any way. That works. I had, which is the reason why I'm doing this video now, actually, because someone had mentioned about this. Then I've used an extension lead, which goes from this plug here on the blue cable, and it ran on the floor all the way to the back, along the back, and it came out underneath the sofa there, so that I had basically power points there, because that's where my laptop would sit and does sit, and it was suitable. Also, with a 240 volt charger, I could charge my phone if I needed to, but I do charge my phones off of a little 12 volt, which is again designed for a car. It's designed for the motor vehicles, and that's one of those extension cigarette socket points where you can then put that into your cigarette point and put in multiples. So I've wired that up so that I then use the little USB chargers, and this is where, like with this yellow one here, that is what charges up my Bluetooth speaker, and this one, the red one, charges up my phone and also microphone. So generally, and 99% of the time, things like that are all charged from that, which comes off of the hut power. But then things changed. Life does change. We change. We evolve. Then I came up with, because of gaining this sofa, because that bit reclines, which allows me to have an old man nap. I like the old man naps. Which then said I didn't have use for my original sofa. But that now is out here. And the girls love this bed. Well, they're out playing at the moment. Which that then meant I had 2 rocking chairs I didn't know what to do with. So the rocking chair that I did have here was collapsible. So that is collapsed and put into storage, because I'll have use for it and I don't want to get rid of it. So this one moved from over that side to this side. And then I decided I'd get rid of one of the chairs of the 3-piece suite, because it was taking up too much room and I didn't need it, so that I could bring in the other rocking chair inside, of which I then made my new corner. This tabletop, which you see is where my laptop is now, that's my workstation for today. That was an old tabletop that had been used as a worktop in my old camper, and I've refettled it a little and built a little frame so I can store my logs and I've got the work surface, and I've then built with some spare ply that I had those shelves. Moved that corner unit this way, screwed it to that support, and everything is the shelving is screwed to the unit, screwed to the window, so it's not going anywhere. But it left me a problem. I couldn't quite reach from my power point being down there to charge my laptop up sitting there. So I had to have a rethink, which meant basically taking out the cable from there all the way down, round and under, rerouting it so that it now goes to just down there, but it goes along the front wall of the hut to that power supply, of which now I can charge my laptop. And also I found that sitting in this corner here, it looks quite bright at the moment on the camera, but it's the darker corner of my hut because I've not needed light there before. But fortunately I had it kicking around and suddenly realised is this. It's an old table lamp. It's 240 volt, which, okay, a bit of a bugger, but I've got the power, and it's got an LED low wattage bulb in there, which allows for me to be working here on my laptop, and I can sit there and, I mean, yeah, rainy days like it was yesterday, sit and watch things on YouTube and everything, and have a view which you can't quite see because of the brightness, and it is perfect for me. Then the only other power that I have or use in the hut is my fridge. The fridge freezer there, which is a 240 volt fridge freezer. In the summer I don't have to bother, but in the winter I always turn it off at night and turn it off and switch it back on in the morning. When I turn it off, I don't open the fridge, and I also, not that that's going to do any favours, but use an old towel and I drape it over the front, over the door, because if I've got the log burner on, which is what normally happens in the winter, the external temperature in here is quite a bit warmer. The insulation properties of the door of the fridge is not quite as good as the sides, the back or the top. So things like milk that are normally sat in the door can go off. I've once experienced milk going a little bit sour on me, and there wasn't a lot of milk anymore. But just to add an extra layer between the hot and the cold, despite what people say, I have never had food go bad. I have never eaten anything that's made me bad. The freezer and the fridge, when I turn the power off, remains shut. And as soon as I get up in the morning, I'll switch it back on. And even when I make my first cup of coffee, the milk is still cold. So you can do it, and it can save energy, or energy usage. So that is the basic rundown of how I've wired up, set up, and I use my power. I do have backwards and forwards. I do apologise. I mean, I've got a bread making machine if I want to be super lazy. I've got a little coffee grinder. I also have a little 240 volt camping kettle. What else do I use as potential power? I don't. I've learnt to do without. I do have, oh, tell a lie, I have a 240 volt Hoover that was gifted to me. I use that to hoover the hut, do my housework. If I've got sufficient power, if there's like a good sunny day, I'll hoover through. If not, I will hand sweep, or I will use the hoover when the generator's running to top up my batteries. So I have to be mindful of how and when I use it. But apart from that, I don't really have any other 240 volt domestic appliances. I've learned to work around without all this modern fandangled stuff. It's most of it's not required anyway. I do an awful lot of things by hand. People say, well, I bet an iron. I've not ironed an item of clothing for probably 20 years. I tend to buy clothes that don't need ironing and that, but no, it's everything is doable. Yeah, people's power supplies or power needs can vary greatly. I have chosen to simplify the best I can. I could probably do without a fridge freezer and work with, you know, digging a hole in the ground, and that becomes a natural fridge and things like that. I don't want to be that far down the track. And yeah, little modern comforts, which is a regular fridge, and things like that. And the bread making machine is, especially if I know I've got enough power through the day, it's just it's a quicker way of making some fresh bread, because making it by hand can be a little more time consuming. So I use it as a bit of a cheat occasionally. Put the ingredients in, switch it on, forget about it. 3 hours and 20 minutes later, bingo, we have bread. So yeah, that's pretty much the setup that I use. It's, you know, it's not generic to anything else. I've built it, set it up to fit with my basic needs. As you can see in there, there's no high-tech televisions, no high-tech stereos, no high-tech surround sound booster speaker things. All of these things take power. I have no telly, I have no interest in telly. So yeah, my life is simple. My requirements from electricity are simple, and I've simplified where I can, so that my reliance on the sun is not quite as bad, or I don't have to spend lots and lots of money on those things called solar panels and batteries. And you know, I don't, yeah, I have a little washing machine. That's 240, the twin tub. When I use that, it draws very little power because it is only a basic washing machine, and that's only probably once every 10 days I end up using that, maybe much as once a week. And absolute worst case scenario is I'd run the generator just to make sure there's enough power for that to happen. It still works out an awful lot cheaper to do a load of washing, or even say 2 loads of washing. If I was to be quick, I'd get it done with an hour, and that is absolutely maximum, no more than 1.5 litres of fuel. And on today's rate, we're looking at a cost of around about £2 for 1.5 litre of fuel. For me to go to a laundrette, it would cost me £3 in fuel alone just to get to the laundrette and back, plus to do a large load, which would be 2 loads here, would cost me £7 for the washer. And then if I wanted to use a dryer, there's another £5. So if I do have to resort to running my generator just to do my washing for about £2, I'm not complaining. So that's my rundown of how my power works, how I use the power, and I keep it as simple as I possibly can, purely because why do I need to complicate it? Anyway, folks, keep smiling, keep being happy, and oh yeah, down there, like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, comment and share, especially the comments, please. I do enjoy the comments, the good, the bad, the indifferent, all the comments. I do genuinely read them all, and I do respond to as many as I can. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, and hopefully we will catch you soon. Ta-ra for now. Bye.